We all know that malaria is an infectious disease spread by mosquitoes. Female Anopheles mosquitoes spread the infection, a microorganism called a plasmodium, when taking a blood meal. But as the quotation often attributed to Mark Twain says, what gets us into trouble is not what we don't know, it's what we know for sure that just ain't so. Like most residents of Western Europe, I thought little about malaria until I had opportunity to travel to Africa. My destination in southern Botswana was not on the malaria map. However, parts of the north of the country to which I intended to travel were. People told me I needed to get malaria tablets that had to be taken for a week or two in advance, then daily or weekly, and for some time after leaving malaria areas. There were a few different medications and combination tablets available, and I investigated which would be the lesser evil. None seemed particularly effective, so I decided to check the evidence of the mosquito cause of malaria and how these tablets were supposed to act. I soon became suspicious of the complicated malaria transmission story. If it were still 2019, I probably would not have questioned the conventional medical wisdom that malaria is a disease caused by a plasmodium spread by the female Anopheles mosquito. And I should take a prophylactic medication to make sure I did not get it. When I was in my 20s, a school friend had died when he contracted a virulent strain in Zimbabwe, so it seemed to be an illness to fear, one that could kill the young and healthy. I last met Paddy O'Connor in my final year as an undergraduate chemical engineer at University College Dublin. I was returning from an interview in the UK, one on the milk round as we then referred to it. I had a conversation with the young woman sitting beside me on the plane. At the end of the flight, she told me that she was being collected by her boyfriend at Dublin Airport and offered me a ride to my home. It is a small world sometimes, and her boyfriend was Paddy O'Connor. He was as pleasant and friendly as he always was, and we had a great conversation reminiscing about friends and old times on the half-hour journey to my accommodation. Paddy had been a neighbour in Wexford town when I was young. My family rented a flat in a house opposite his family home while my father was building our house in the country. I often played with him and other children in their large garden. He attended the same secondary school as me for a few years before completing his secondary education at Clongowes Wood College, one of Ireland's leading rugby playing schools. Paddy was a talented out-half on the rugby pitch and was recruited by Clongowes. After completing my Bachelor of Engineering degree in Dublin, I went to USA for graduate school. I did not meet Paddy again. The next I heard of him was when my mother posted me a press clipping of his obituary from the local newspaper a few years after we met at Dublin Airport. Ever charitable, at this time he was working at a mission station in Zimbabwe. He contracted malaria and became very unwell. He was airlifted to hospital in Johannesburg, but the medical team there was unable to save him. While I did fear malaria, it was now 2022, and I no longer had confidence in the stories the medical establishment tells about diseases. From early in 2020, I had been extremely sceptical about the COVID-19 narrative peddled by governments and mainstream media. I already knew that climate change and the solutions peddled by government are scams. I already distrusted the promotion of catastrophe with pseudoscience. I'm educated to PhD level in chemical engineering. I understand the scientific method and the corruption that permeates the scientific research business. The book Virus Mania by Thorsten Engelbrecht et al. 2021 changed my life. It debunked most viral illnesses. In addition to getting confirmation that COVID is a scam, I learned that AIDS is not sexually transmitted and is caused by toxins. First amyl nitrate sex drugs and later the toxic antivirals including AZT that were used to treat it. The Spanish flu was not contagious and was probably caused by tuberculosis vaccines given to World War I soldiers. Polio incidence was linked to exposure to toxic agricultural chemicals. There is no evidence of vaccines for any illness such as smallpox or diphtheria reduce their incidence.